So, so what we're at is this is no technology discovered overnight. It would follow a progression over generations, and it would be unlikely that only one civ and one life form were the only ones to progress and discover. Just like it's highly likely when you look at some of our most advanced stuff that we're working on, a lot of people, and some testify to it, and a lot of people just, you know, consider or whatever, that we're getting help, that we're finding artifacts, we're finding old abandoned technology and stuff like that, and we're utilizing that as well. We may also actually have help chirping in our ear as well. So, one life form were the only ones to progress and discover and invent everything needed for the Death Star. Many life forms, civs, planets, etc. would have contributed to the development and achievement, even at the early stages. Okay. If there was only just one advanced life form doing all the discovery and creation, why the hell did they need a Death Star? There's only one civilization that, if there's only actually just one civilization, so there's no competition, what are you building a Death Star for? Makes no sense. Makes no sense. I mean, to the point, the logic works each way. If the building a Death Star was so much of not a problem, if it was so much just like just an ease thing, then they would be at such an advanced level that it's just as likely that you don't build shit for the hell of it. You don't park shit for the hell of it. So that's out of the question. That certainly is out of the question. You don't sit a Death Star next to planet Earth by coincidence and stuff. Okay, so clearly, if that is a Death Star, and if it is put there, okay, it is clearly put there with the understanding that there are other civilizations, or at least us. Now, that would also mean that it's very unlikely you park a Death Star next to a primitive planet. Even in hopes of, or in fear, or in preparation for what? A billion years later? A billion years later you have a Death Star? That's your master plan? To park a Death Star so that we have all the time in the world to figure it out, but that's the safety net? That's the kill switch? Because a billion years later we get so powerful? That's the master plan? That plan sucks. That's a stupid plan, and that's not a plan, okay, befitting a master civilization that could build a Death Star. Okay. So, if there was only just one advanced life form doing all the discovery, and what the hell did they need a Death Star for? You don't build a Death Star for the hell of it. You don't build one if there weren't a super large amount and reality of advanced life. You don't build a Death Star if you're the only, or if there's hardly anything, or you're speculating the development. You build the Death Star, okay, because that matches the relevancy, that matches the scale of what you're dealing with. Okay, you build the Death Star because somebody else can build a Death Star. Okay, let's call it like it is. You build the Death Star as the ultimate edge over other people who might be able to build the Death Star. Right? It is not proportionately realistic to build a Death Star or even transform the moon into a Death Star for no reason, and certainly not to worry about simple single-celled carbon organisms. Okay? By the time the carbon organisms reach any type of concern, okay, you should be well beyond the need to park such a huge, brutal thing in front of the planet. Okay, and I think I've actually put that. You should be at the level of master subversion. You don't need a Death Star. Okay, well, maybe they didn't, right? Maybe they were once did. That doesn't follow the primitive. Maybe they once needed one. When? What? So, okay, so maybe the planet Earth was occupied by other advanced. Now we're talking about something completely different. Could be possible. Sure, it could be possible. Okay, but now we're still back at the scale that Death Star is occupied. And that Death Star would be occupied and stuff like that. That's not just going to sit there dusting away. You don't build a Death Star and then hide for the next million years. Once again, that kind of scale of time ability would much more realistically imply that Civ hardly needs a Death Star to deal with shit. Okay, if we have a civilization that's operating on a 1,000,000-year time scale, okay, and that's relevant and practical and effective for them, okay, they're not dealing with Death Stars. Okay, they're beyond Death Stars. Okay, they don't need a Death Star to shoot whatever weapon it's going to shoot. They don't need a Death Star to monitor shit. All right, they're on 1,000,000-year time frames, time scales. Okay, they see what they need to see. All right, they see they don't need no Death Star. Okay, by the time you reach the technology to build the Death Star, you probably don't need it. That's going to go for anyone. I mean, that's how it is. It's bittersweet, but you know, a lot of things are like that. By the time, you know what I mean? By the time we gain that knowledge, it's already, the lessons have already been learned. All right. If they were that advanced and that smart, they should have heaps of complex, savvy social integration methods, social and integration methods to keep safe from the would-be potential dangers of a human Civ 1,000,000 years from now. Of course, screw a Death Star, man. Screw a Death Star. Okay. All right, folks. We're almost done. So, now the other idea that you guys were thinking of, which is the Death Star is actually quite common tech among advanced civilizations. So that idea. So the Death Star, it's common tech. It wasn't that big of a deal. It wasn't that big of a deal for anyone. It's not that big of a deal to let it sit there and just dust away. No big deal. Who cares? Right? So, this only supports the idea that all those civs would have no problem getting back to the Death Star. If the Death Star is no big deal, okay, then they'd be right back at the Death Star, controlling the Death Star. Okay, and what's the goal of the Death Star then? If the Death Star is that simple and that common of an ability and of an achievement to just put that there, we'd see Death Stars everywhere. Okay, and why would you need Death Stars everywhere? And if it was that, and if civilization was that advanced, what were the concerns? What were the concerns? So you're telling me that a civilization can be as advanced as a Death Star level, okay, and leave not a single trace of anything anywhere? Whatever. Well, I mean, you know, maybe we need to keep looking, okay? So people like Bruce sees all. Yes, we need to keep looking, because if you're at the level of you're building a Death Star, okay, then we're bound to find the evidence. We're bound to see the footprints. You can't hide footprints like that. But a lot of people do think that where we should be looking for footprints, the more difficult spot. I mean, the moon might actually be, when everything is said and done, barring some of our limitations with our equipment, but the moon should actually be quite friendly for finding it. It's here on the planet. It's here on the planet where it's not. So the moon is, you know, it's less restricted in a way. Like you're literally restricted. Like if you want to go to the Middle East and look in the desert, you're actually restricted. The same way if you wanted to walk up to the pyramids so you can't just walk around to some of those sites and just explore and do. It's restricted in essence. They're restricted for a reason to protect the artifacts and the structures as well. But nevertheless, it's restricted. Nevertheless, you can't go looking for the Ark in the Middle East deserts. You can't just go wandering around, man. That's not how it works. You can't go wandering around in the caves, even if you're from a university. You got to do a lot of paperwork. You got to do a lot of filing. Okay, and there's a lot of politics, and you got to wait a long time, possibly, before you could explore. I don't know, but you can go look at some other places. We certainly do. We got our academics in there and looking at stuff. So, you know, and furthermore, there would be no war on the moon, especially any war with humans. Aliens that build a Death Star don't struggle with a laser fight with. Okay, so whoever built the Death Star, okay, they're certainly not fighting us on the moon, okay, because you don't build a Death Star, okay, and then sit there struggling versus humans. Sit there struggling, okay, on a laser fight. They built a Death Star. And after they built the Death Star, what? They reduced themselves back to stormtroopers? It just don't work that way. Don't work that way. They built the Death Star. Whatever backup they need, that backup's coming. You get vaporized like that. Nothing. There's no fight. There's no battle. There's no problem. When you're building Death Stars, you don't have a problem. Not against people who have an airplane that can't go for too long because it runs out of fuel. You don't have a problem. Okay? So, if I wanted to be critical, okay, or maybe we need to have a better idea of what the moon means and not a Death Star. Like I said, I'm not here to disprove a Death Star, but you must be critical. You must have these approaches and considerations. Otherwise, you're not doing yourself any service, and you're just wasting your time, and you're not doing anyone else any help either. But that's okay. So you had the consideration, you had the idea, you shared it, and then other people explore it. And that's the strength of human nature, but we should do it sincerely and not laugh and scoff and say, what a stupid idea. It's not a stupid idea. We certainly should consider that technology, that ability might have been achieved. It might have been achieved by us as well. We certainly should consider that if there is a Death Star, if the possibility, it's because something fantastical or amazing was also happening on the Earth as well, to put it there. Or perhaps it was there for the moon. We keep thinking just because we have bases, allies have bases, so but if you came a million years later or something and you saw those bases, you might think, maybe it was a standoff there. No, it wasn't. So a Death Star being so close to the Earth could still have nothing to do with, there was no beef between the Death Star and the Earth. That Death Star could have been parked there, okay, but having a problem with Mars, having a problem with Saturn, the original sun. No. Anyway. Last one. If the Death Star tech is that common, the civ population of our solar system and galaxy should be on overload. You don't plop Death Stars next to rising, developing civ planets if your whole goal is to remain a secret and undetected. Okay? So, okay, and that works in a couple of ways too. You don't build Death Stars and stuff if you're like this, you're a civilization of 1,000 people. It doesn't seem to make any, and you don't park Death Stars and blah blah blah. And like I said, if your whole goal is to remain secretive, then you don't park Death Stars next to planets, rising, developing planets. Okay? It's not too smart. It's not too smart.